Hi, in today's video I will be drawing this Siamese cat using Caran Luminance color pencils. Just for transparency, I am not sponsored. I have just purchased these pencils and I wanted to give them a try and see how I like them, and they actually are now one of my top 3 favorite color pencils to use, the other 2 being the Faber-Castell Polychromos and the Derwent Light Fastback pencils. So as always, I start off with a graphite sketch. I try to keep the graphite very light when I'm doing the sketch, just so that no graphite blends in with the color pencils, especially in the areas where I'm using lighter colors. So I usually always start with the eyes, and I just get the outlines in, and I start layering in the darker areas. And you can see I am keeping a very light hand. I'm not pressing very hard with the pencils, because I'm slowly going to build up layers. We are going to come through with the Odourless white spirits and blend the color pencil, so it'll get much darker than it's going to appear. So I'm just going in and adding the color of the eyes. And I'm just putting in some of these little details. We are going to blend the eyes and then let it dry and come through and do more details on that later. You can see I'm just blending it out. We are going to come through and do more layers on that later once it's dry. Remember, it's very important to let the layers dry before putting pencil on it, because if you do try to draw with the color pencil over an area that's wet with the spirits, you are going to get a very dark color, which may be difficult to lighten later. As you can see, I am paying very close attention to the directions of the fur. So remember, when you're drawing any animal, pay very close attention to your reference photo. Look at the direction of the fur, the direction the hairs are going, the highlights, the shadow areas. Now in this case, this cat has got a lot of black fur on his face, so we are just going to be building up that black fur. Now when it comes to black fur, remember there's going to be light reflecting off it, and it's going to have certain areas that look shiny. So don't use pure white for that. I use lighter color blues or more pastel color blues just to get that areas covered in, so we know those are the lighter areas, and that's going to be the areas where the light reflects off the fur and where it looks shiny. So as you can see, I'm just building up layers, and remember, when you are using spirits to blend in your color pencil, make sure that you've got enough pigment on the paper before you blend. So as you can see, I'm blending now with the spirits, and it is going much darker than it appeared before the spirits were added for blending. So if you do have less pigment and you try to blend, you will still see it look very grainy, and you can see the truth of the paper through and the white of the paper through it. So that doesn't mean anything is spoiled. All you got to do is let it dry and come through with another layer of pencil or another few layers of pencil, and then blend again, and that should be fine. Nothing is ruined, nothing is spoiled. Everything can be fixed. It's just not enough pigment. Let it dry thoroughly and then come through with another layer, and that graininess will be gone. So as you can see, as I'm building up the layers and adding in the spirits for blending, you can see slowly the texture of the fur is coming through. And once again, I'm paying close attention to the reference photo. I'm looking at the shadow areas and the highlights, because we want it to look more three-dimensional and to look more realistic. And especially with black, if we put an entire solid black over the entire face, he's going to look very flat and it's going to look very unrealistic. He'll look more like a cartoon. So we want it to be more realistic. So make sure to pay close attention to those highlights and shadows. So you can see now I'm adding in the browns. As I said, nothing is completely black and completely one brown. I'm using different, like not different shades, but I'm using black, and I'm putting certain areas lighter than other areas where I put more layers of black to make it more darker, the shadow areas and the darker areas. And then I'm coming through with the brown, and I'm going to be using a variety of different browns and even some more yellow browns, just to get, even some reddish browns, just to get a variation in the fur and create some more of a sort of different colors around the fur, because the fur is not all solid two colors. It's not just brown and black. It's a variety of browns and a variety of shades of blacks and grays, which gives it that effect of fur and makes it look more realistic. So you can see I'm slowly building up layers of the color pencil. And at this stage, I'm not blending anything out. I'm still getting in those base layers. Once I have enough pigment, I will go through and blend and then come back and do another layer and add more details. So another thing to remember is when you're doing, like I did the nose, you need to pay close attention to areas where you can make it look as if the nose is separate from the face. If you make everything merge into one big round area of black, you're not going to see nose, and it won't look realistic, and you're not going to see it as a cat. Or it'll look like a cat, but it's going to look strange because you're not going to be able to see his nose. So you can see I'm coming through with an electric eraser just to bring out those highlights and the corners of the eyes. And then I am going over that areas again with some white and some lighter colors just to get the eyes more realistic and make them look shiny, because the eyes are wet, so they're going to have the shine in them. That also helps to make it look more realistic. Now, as you can see on the top of his head between the ears, you will see that area looks as if he's got a V shape, as if his head is shaped, or the fur is shaped going in the center. There's no fur. There is actually fur there, and you will see me coming through later with a little bit of light colored browns and some beige or cream colors, just to get that area looking light. Because it's a white background and the paper is white at the back and there's no background, you're not able to see that hair stick out. So in order to bring that hair out, try to use on the edges of that fur where the background is going to be, try to just use some lighter color browns or some cream colors just to let it stick out from the white of the back of the paper, or the white from the background of the paper. So that I will come through later, you'll see me adding that area in there. For now, I'm just building up the layers of the brown fur and also putting in some of the details in the ears and some of those little fur strands that are sticking out. I am going to come through later and go through that with a bit more detail and adding more. This is just to give an overall idea of where my portrait is going. So you can see I don't have that much color put down in the neck area, but that's because I just want to get a base color, and then I'm going to go through with more layers and then blend after that. So as I said before, it's not a problem if you don't have enough. It's better to have enough layers, but in certain aspects, if you're looking for a certain look, it's better to just put in 2 layers or so and then blend, and then you can work on the details on top of that. But if you're looking for, if you're looking for just putting like one time to put it on, it's not really going to work, because once you blend it out, some of the details also lost. So you need to put in multiple layers to get the detail back in, and some of those strands of fur, just to make it look more 3-dimensional. Otherwise, everything's going to look too smooth and too soft. So some of those hairs help to give the picture of dimension and make it look more realistic by having those strong lines for the hairs showing, which is why you add layers afterwards. So on the neck, I had a less amount of pigment because I wanted to just get a soft look for the fur on his neck, because the fur on the neck is very soft. And then obviously I came through with more layers and blended that through. So you can keep layering and letting it dry and working on another area, coming back through and working on that area again with another layer, and then blending it through and letting that dry. You can see I'm just going back and forth, just adding in some touch of detail here and there. And also I defined those ears with those little hairs and brought in the top of his head. Just touching up those little fine hairs that are sticking out from his ear, because everything is not so flat. We want to make it look more three-dimensional. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, don't forget to like and share. And if you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. So thanks again for watching. Until the next one. Bye.